It's good to have you with me as we start looking at the Easter story. As we start this Easter story, I'm left with the question, why? I'm going to read two short passages from the Bible. First, gives a little bit of background to the person we're going to consider today. And the second is the event that makes me ask why. My name is Andy and I'm the pastor here at Community Church Longton. So let's jump into the Bible and read the first reading from John chapter 12 verses 1 to 6. 6 days before the Passover began, Jesus went to Bethany, the town where he had raised Lazarus from the dead. They prepared supper for Jesus. Martha served. Lazarus and Mary were among the others at the table. Mary picked up an alabaster jar filled with nearly a litre of extremely rare and costly perfume, and she anointed Jesus' feet. She wiped them dry with her long hair, and the fragrance of the costly oil filled the house. But Judas, Simon's son, the betrayer, he spoke up and said, "What a waste! We could have sold this perfume for a fortune and given the money to the poor." In fact, Judas had absolutely no heart for the poor. He only said this because he was a thief and in charge of the money. He would steal money whenever he wanted from the funds given to support Jesus. Now, my second reading is from Matthew's Gospel, 26, verses 14 to 16. One of the 12 apostles, Judas, went to the leading priests and said, "How much are you willing to pay me to betray Jesus into your hands?" They agreed to pay him 30 silver coins. Immediately, Judas began to scheme and look for an opportunity to betray him. The unanswerable word, why, echoes within my mind as I read this tragic account, the betrayal of Jesus by Judas. Why? Judas had spent 3 years with Jesus. He'd seen him heal bodies, touch the broken lives, raise the dead. Judas had heard the gospel of love. Why? Judas laughed and shared life with Jesus. Judas had seen the miraculous multiplication of loaves and fish. He'd seen the once raging sea become calm. He'd seen the demons flee at the voice of the one who proclaimed, "Let there be light." Why? Why does he even have a heart? Does Judas have a heart in this at all? Judas went to the chief priests. They didn't come to him. He went to them. I've always wondered if Judas betrayed Jesus because of his own addiction. I wonder if Judas was compelled to sell Jesus to the murderers because of the compulsion that he never conquered. Judas was in charge of the money. And it was known among the disciples that Judas often stole from the money. And that money was meant to be shared between Jesus and all of them. We don't know if the disciples confronted Judas or if Jesus confronted him. We do know that Judas had an addiction to money and he never dealt with it. Judas could have taken his weakness to Jesus. He could have confessed and asked for forgiveness for the power to overcome. Instead, the lethal addiction stayed hidden and overpowered Judas's ability to walk by faith and not by sight. You may not sell Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, but your addictions, your issues, your little problem that you think nobody knows about, they will cause you to make wrong choices. You'll do things that will shame you. You'll do things that will lead you down the pathway of remorse and guilt. Satan will take advantage of your weakness, just like he did to Judas. He'll do it to you. Maybe it's time, maybe this Easter time is the time for you to make the choice that Judas never made. To make the choice to go to Jesus, to ask him for forgiveness and the power to overcome. You'll be amazed at how it will change the end of your story. And right here, we're thinking about the end of your story being changed because of Jesus. And we're going to see how Jesus changes all of our stories because of Easter. Why don't you join me through this week as we continue our story in Easter. Thank you for being with me. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.